Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hey, welcome back to Simply Cyber's daily cyber threat briefing. My name is not Jerry Auger. My name is Tyler Ramsby. I am guest hosting the show this morning and do want to let you know that today is July 17th, 2025, and this is episode 921 of Simply Cyber's daily threat briefing, where we shred the top cyber news. Let me go ahead and get chat pulled up. We'll turn on the overlay. And good morning to everyone. Happy Thursday. Super excited to be back with you guys. Usually on Thursdays, I have just been doing the Jawjacking or the Q&A at the end of the show, but today is our lucky day. I am doing the entire show. So thank you for taking the time to hang out with me. Whether you are watching this live in real time or you are watching this on replay, I'm excited to have you here. Also, just a reminder that watching this show gives you half of a CPE. So make sure you say hello in the chat, take a screenshot so that you can get credit for that CPE. But good morning. Let me scroll down through chat over on Restream so I get all of this stuff set up. Also, guys, it's been a little bit of time since I've done the daily cyber threat briefing. So if anything sounds off or looks off, please let me know, and I will do my best to fix it in real time. But I don't see anyone freaking out in chat, so I'm going to assume everything looks good and everything sounds good over on your end. But hey, if you guys have any wins also, I would love to celebrate them. So if you just got a new job or got a cert, let me know in chat. And if this is one of your first times at the daily cyber threat briefing, make sure you drop a hashtag first timer in chat. I would love to give you a formal welcome for being here and welcome you to the Simply Cyber party. Be exciting to do that. But hey, y'all, before we dive into the rest of the show, do need to let you know that this show is made possible because of a few different sponsors for the daily cyber threat briefing. And instead of me doing the long ad read, because I guarantee you I would forget something, I have a video from Jerry for the ad read. While this ad read goes on, I do have a huge favor to ask of every single one of you. And yes, that is you, not the other people. You specifically. I'm talking to you right now. In the description of this video, you can see links to the different sponsors I'm going to mention right here. If you can do me a favor and click into those links and check out the sponsors. Even if you clicked them last time, I want you to click them again. It just shows the sponsors that, hey, as part of sponsoring Simply Cyber, it really does matter, and our audience is awesome, and they'll check out your products and check out your services. What the haircut fish is dropping first timer? I don't think it's. I'm pretty sure it's not the haircut fish's first timer, but we do have Niceman Hussein. I just saw it over in my chat. Niceman, dude, I don't have sound effects, so I'm gonna pretend like I hit it. Welcome to the party, pal. Hey, super excited to have you as part of Simply Cyber. As a first timer, you have discovered one of the best live streams on the top cyber news, if not the best live stream on the top cyber news. But guys, let me go ahead and play this ad read from Jerry. Make sure you click all the links, which I know is terrible cyber advice, but when you're watching the show, you can click all the links in the description. I promise I'm not going to fish you, but that is what some would say if they're going to fish you. But check out these sponsors.
Starting with Antisyphon Training. Antisyphon Training is disrupting the traditional cybersecurity training industry by offering high-quality, cutting-edge education to everyone. I want to call your attention to SOC Detection Engineering Crash Course with Hayden Covington. This course is happening this Friday, and it is a 4-hour workshop. Hayden Covington is absolutely the right person for this job. You can register up until July 18th, you can register up until July 17th at 10 p.m. Eastern time. I will be taking this course. It is a pay what you can, pay it forward course, so you can charge anywhere from $0 to $250. You can take this course for free if you require tuition assistance. Come join. A lot of Simply Cyber community members are going to be there. I'll drop a link in the description below. You can also go to the links I'll drop it in chat. You can go to the links in the description below to also get to that. Thank you, Antisyphon Training. Shout out and thanks to Barricade Cyber Solutions, continuing to bring the heat with their Fortify 365 solution, guys. Here's the deal. If you run an M365 shop and you haven't properly configured the security settings, which can be quite complicated, in your environment, you're actually accepting cyber risk for no reason. You have the capability, you're already paying for the situation to be configured. So why not take advantage of that? You can do it yourself, or if you'd like to have the expertise and the time back for someone else to do it, definitely consider Barricade Cyber Solutions Fortified 365. They've done it for many, many organizations. They can do it for you. barricadecyber.com/fortified-365. Link in the description as always below. Also want to tell you guys about Flare Academy. Now, Flare, the cyber threat intelligence platform, is phenomenal. But did you know that Flare has the Academy side where they're offering instructor-led webinars for free alongside a Discord server where you can go talk to the instructors afterwards? I attended the Cryptos Hunting Adversaries yesterday and learned a bit more about how cyber criminals are using crypto. I learned about a new technique called peeling. Peeling is how they try to launder their money. Very interesting. But what I really want to call your attention to is this training that the instructor-led webinar they have coming up August 13th. August 13th, The Burglar's Guide to Web Application Testing, Stealing Secrets Like a Hobbit. Guys, reason number 385 why I love working in cybersecurity. Where else can you get a title for a instructor-led webinar talk like this? It's also being given by Kevin Johnson. Come learn from Kevin Johnson the methodical process of web app pen testing, and equip yourself with practical skills to uncover vulnerabilities that often remain hidden. I'll drop a link in the description, but if you go to simplycyber.io/flare, you will be able to get it. Finally, I just want to say a quick shout out to ThreatLocker. ThreatLocker, longtime sponsor. I'll be doing some work with them at Black Hat. Let's hear their ad read, and then when we come back, I'm going to tell you how this show can solve all of your CPE problems like an absolute boss. Let's go in chat. I want to give some love to the Daily Cyber Threat Brief sponsor, ThreatLocker. Do zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks keep you up at night? Well, worry no more. You can harden your security with ThreatLocker. Worldwide, companies like JetBlue trust ThreatLocker to secure their data and keep their business operations flying high. ThreatLocker takes a deny-by-default approach to cybersecurity and provides a full audit of every action allowed or blocked for risk management and compliance. Onboarding and operation is fully supported by their US-based Cyber Heroes support team. Get a free 30-day trial and learn more about how ThreatLocker can help prevent ransomware and ensure compliance. Visit threatlocker.com.
Welcome back. Hey, once again, if you haven't already, make sure you click all the links in the description of this video to show our sponsors some love. They are the ones who make the daily cyber threat briefing every morning possible for all of us. Now, what we're going to do next is we are going to shred the top cyber news, and this is kind of like that water cooler conversation. I have not looked at the stories ahead of time. I'm going to give you my first honest, rough take on what I think about each one of these stories. But before we do that, I do think that context is important. So real quick, a little bit about me if you haven't met me before. First, my name is Tyler. It is nice to meet you. But I am a pen tester by day. So all day long, I spend my day hacking stuff legally. I hack banks, I hack hospitals, I hack large businesses, but at the end, I give them a report saying, hey, you might want to fix this before the real threat actors get into your environment and pwn you and cost you even more money than what a pen test is going to cost you. So that's my day in and day out is I have the opportunity for my job to legally hack different organizations. So my perspective for these stories is from the perspective of a pen tester or an ethical hacker. In addition, if you enjoy my content, I have my own YouTube channel. I'm really tired this morning because I was live streaming, I think 7 hours ago or less than 7 hours ago on my own channel. So if you look at the lower thirds, you can find information on my channel. But if you just search for Tyler Ramsby, you'll be able to find me. I live stream all the time, usually doing some hands-on hacking, teaching, all of that fun stuff. I also have some courses in Simply Cyber's Academy. So if you want to check out my courses in Simply Cyber's Academy, you can check that out as well. I have 3 of them. One is a beginner level introduction to hacking. One is an introduction to AWS pen testing. And my most recent one is hands-on phishing, teaching you how to run full phishing engagements as a pen tester or a red teamer. With all of that out of the way, are we ready to shred the top cyber news? I think my caffeine is slowly kicking in. So if you're not ready, I will be ready for you. Let me go ahead and get this pulled up. I'm sure I have to refresh it. So let me refresh it. And then I'm also going to share my screen, make sure the overlay and everything looks good. And it does. Okay, beautiful. Let's go ahead and dive into these top cyber news. If I can hit play, and it's challenging.
From the CISO series, it's cybersecurity headlines.
These are the cybersecurity headlines for July 17th, 2025. I'm Sarah Lane. Google says Big Sleep AI tool found bug hackers planned to use. Google says its AI agent Big Sleep discovered and thwarted a critical SQLite vulnerability before hackers could exploit it, marking what it claims is the first time AI has actively blocked a zero-day attack in the wild. The tool was developed with Project Zero and DeepMind and found multiple real-world bugs since its November debut and is now being used to secure open-source projects.
Cool. Well, it was at the end. Let me listen.
Google fixes actively exploited sandbox escape zero-day in...
Wait, is that two different stories? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, cool. So we're going to be hearing more about this in general with the emergence of AI or LLMs. And you always have to be careful when you're trying to understand the difference between what the AI or LLM is actually able to do, what is some marketing language, all of the development that goes into something like this, and kind of the human in the loop process. Because there's another tool or another AI agent you may have heard of called Expo, I think is the name. Expo is, they claim, well, not they claim, it is actually true, but supposedly the number one hacker on HackerOne, and they made a big marketing release about that. But there's some caveats anytime you're hearing about AI or LLMs doing ethical hacking or finding bugs. AI is an incredible tool. LLMs are an incredible tool. I don't know about this one in particular, but I almost guarantee it's true. All of these tools are done with a human in the loop, or really in the case of Google or Expo, multiple humans in the loop. So this isn't just an AI agent going out and exploiting all the things. I guarantee you, when you're using AI agents to find vulnerabilities, it's sort of like using an advanced version of Nessus. It is definitely going to find stuff, but it's also going to find a lot of false positives. So it takes that human in the loop to go through and figure out what is legit vulnerability, what is not a legit vulnerability. So it's unlikely that you're going to be able to get your own AI agent that's just going to do bug bounty for you and make you all the money. So just know, anytime you're reading about AI finding or exploiting vulnerabilities, you have to dig a little bit deeper. I don't know all the details on this, but it's also Google, and they have a lot of money. So they probably spend a lot of time on research and development to have this AI agent called a Big Sleep, which is interesting name. I suppose they're implying that you can sleep and then it will find big bugs. I don't know the marketing language behind that. But let's see. A project developed out of work on vulnerability research assisted by LLMs done by Google Project Zero and Google DeepMind. So the tool actively searches and finds unknown security vulnerabilities in software. I'm actually curious myself on digging into this more to see how it works. I don't know if it's just reviewing code and then open source software and then reporting potential vulnerabilities. No idea. But imagine discover this. A critical security flaw at Google said was only known to threat actors and was at risk of being exploited. How do they know that? I don't know if they were able to do some research to figure that out. I'm actually want to read about this bug real quick. Let's check it out. So there exists a vulnerability in SQLite versions where the number of aggregate terms could exceed the number of columns. This could lead to a memory corruption issue. Okay. Is there any more information on this? I don't think so. I suppose because it's new, there's probably not a POC available. I mean, that would be my other question about this article. How do they know it was only known to threat actors and was at risk of being exploited? I suppose any vulnerability, even vulnerability CVE 2027, is at risk of being exploited. That's the whole idea of it being a 0-day or a vulnerability. So that's some of the marketing language that you really have to dig through. I don't know how Google knows this. I don't know how they verified this. Of course, anything and everything is at risk of being exploited when you report a CVE. I have 9 CVEs. I have like 3 more that are pending, but MITRE hates me and won't reach back out to me. So if anyone's watching this and you work at MITRE, can you please respond to me? I would be a very happy person. But cool stuff. You're going to learn more about AI and you're going to hear more about AI, but you really do have to separate the marketing hype from the real world implementation of it. And honestly, the best way to do that is you do have to dig into white papers and listen to those kinds of things. One quick promo: if you're going to be at DEF CON, I am actually helping keynote the Red Team Village at DEF CON on Friday morning. I'll be up there with Nahamsec and Zero Day, and we're going to be talking about this exact thing. I believe the theme, I don't remember the exact wording for the theme, but it's something about using AI with your mind, combining it all together, and which parts of AI for pen testing and red teaming are legit and which parts are overhyped. So if you're going to be at DEF CON, Friday, I believe at 11 a.m., Red Team Village, I will be on the keynote panel with Nahamsec and Zero Day. Would love to have you join me for that. But interesting story. I feel more of a marketing thing for Google, but let's continue.
In Chrome, Google also released a security update for Chrome that addresses around a half dozen vulnerabilities, including one with a high severity rating. That exploit is being used by attackers to escape the browser's sandbox protection, using specially crafted HTML pages to execute arbitrary code within the browser's GPU process. China.
So this seems like a huge issue, but guys, if you just read patches on any of the major browsers, this is the type of thing being found all the time. I do want to point out this wasn't found by Deep Sleep. Was that the name? Big Sleep? Deep Sleep? Big Sleep? I don't even remember the name of the AI tool. They need to work better on their marketing, obviously. But this is, once again, it must be like a slow news story for the CISO series. If like their biggest news is, hey, we have a security update for Chrome. I mean, sometimes these can be a big deal, but like I said before, Chrome and other major browsers are regularly patching things like this. There's a bunch of security researchers who are always digging into these bugs because if you're good at it, you can find some decent bug bounties. It looks like this is a browser's sandbox escape. Not generally, all the time when you're in a browser, it sandboxes it to try to prevent things from escaping out of it. And sandbox escapes are a common vulnerability you'll find when you're looking at browsers. I don't think this is actively exploited in any way. I'm guessing the POC is not available. Generally, these are quite complex to actually exploit. But it says an insufficient validation of untrusted input, common thing. It accepts user input, does not sanitize or validate that input in some weird thing. In Angle and GPU in Google Chrome prior to that allowed a remote attacker to potentially perform a sandbox escape via crafted HTML page. So the attacker could host the HTML page. You go to it on your browser. It's able to escape out of the sandbox and access, I think, the GPU. Was that untrusted input in Angle and GPU? I don't even know what Angle is, to be honest. Oh, Angle. There we go. Angle, almost native graphics layer engine, is an open source graphics abstraction layer used by Chrome to translate OpenGL ESE API calls to Direct3D, Metal, Vulkan, and OpenGL. If you're like, yo, that makes perfect sense to me. Well, it also doesn't make perfect sense to me either. So if you're confused by that, so am I. Welcome to the party, pal. But hey, it's patch. Here's the idea. You got to patch it. If you run a patch management system, make sure you're pushing out patches to Google Chrome if that is the browser that your organization uses. If you're using Google Chrome yourself, make sure you patch it. This is not something that's going to be actively exploited. It just talks about more things that have been patched. Oh, discovered by Kaspersky. Aren't they the ones that are no longer allowed in the US? Espionage attacks. Oh, against Russian government agencies. It was probably the NSA doing it. And Kaspersky's like, hey, guys, can you stop spying on us? Here's a vulnerability. You got to patch it. But nothing super interesting here. We have two stories back to back about Google. One about how their deep sleep AI or deep whatever is able to find vulnerabilities. And here's your standard. You got to patch Chrome. Vulnerabilities happen. It is what it is. Let's continue with the stories. Let's refresh the podcast.
China's cyber sector amplifies Beijing's hacking of U.S. targets. The Washington Post reports that U.S. officials have seen Chinese cyber attacks more than double since 2023. Indictments and leaked files tie firms like Shanghai Power Rock and iSoon to China's government, letting large-scale intrusions exist through 0 days sold across agencies. Groups like Salt Typhoon and Silk Typhoon have penetrated U.S. infrastructure, media, and defense systems, with CrowdStrike, Mandiant, and CISA all confirming escalating threats.
So this is another one of those things. I think I talked about this last time I was on the show, but we often hear stories about this and we're like, hey, Chinese bad, US good when it comes to like hacking. But the reality is this is happening by governments all over the world all of the time. It's not just that China is hacking into the US is also hacking into China and many other nations around the world. There is an entire invisible warfare that you and I uh, aren't privy to until we see the consequences out in the media or out in business, or an organization gets hacked. Then we see the consequences of it. But in reality, this is happening all the time. You see, you may hear a term called APT, also known as an advanced persistent threat, and that is a nation state actor group where the focus is less on deploying ransomware. And unless it's North Korea. North Korea's APT, they need money, so they still deploy ransomware. But APTs from a country such as China or the US, the goal is not monetary right away. The goal is espionage, trying to steal trade secrets, trying to get information about the government, and trying to get information about critical infrastructure. And when the Chinese APT groups are targeting the US, they're generally going after critical infrastructure. And when you study any type of critical infrastructure, Justin Gold would know this, it's often not that secure. Critical infrastructure, especially those ran by the government, does not have a lot of money, and so many government websites are held together by duct tape and just hoping no one pokes at it, because if you poke at it too much, it just kind of falls over and everything breaks. So one big takeaway from this, guys, is hacking is, of course, going to increase. I think they mentioned it increased significantly. Yeah, from 2023. It says hacks from suspected Chinese government actors detected by security firm CrowdStrike more than doubled from 2023 to more than 330 last year, and continue to climb as the new administration took over. Bursts of espionage are typical with each new president, the official said, and major staff cuts at the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency have disrupted some response coordination. Oh, really? I'm not going to get too political, but I will just say this. When you lay off a bunch of cybersecurity people, do not be surprised when you get pwned more often and your response time sucks, right? People actually do matter when it comes to responding to cyber threats. You cannot automate all of cyber threat responses, at least not right now. But this is a story that you're going to hear more about, and it's something happening all the time. And I just want to emphasize once again, it's not just China going after the US. The US also goes after China and other countries. There is invisible warfare happening right now. Another takeaway for you is that if you are a decision maker in your organization, you need to make sure not only are you patching all the things, but that you're pen testing and red teaming all the things. Now, I've shared this before, but I think it's important to highlight. People often confuse pen testing and red teaming, but these are actually two different things. A pen test is very much a time box engagement. During a pen test, I may only have 5 days or so to dig into your web application and find as many vulnerabilities as I can. Pen testing is good, but if you work in critical infrastructure or you have an organization that might be targeted by an APT, I recommend paying for a red team engagement. A red team engagement is when a firm, such as the one I work for, simulates or emulates an advanced persistent threat and nation state actor. The goal isn't find all the vulnerabilities, but often the goal is goal execution. If I'm doing a red team engagement, for example, for a bank, maybe the goal is, hey, can you do a fraudulent transaction? And the scope is a lot more open. So it might include social engineering. I might be making phone calls. I might be sending phishing emails. I might even go on site and disguise myself as like an electrician and see if I can get access into the bank or access to anything critical inside of the bank that I can use ultimately for goal execution. So if you work in critical infrastructure or you have an organization that might be targeted by other APTs, you should at least be doing a yearly red team engagement so you get realistically what can an APT do to you if they target your organization, and what defense in depth things can you prepare ahead of time so that not if but when you are targeted, you can make the threat actor's job significantly more difficult. Now, that being said, there's really no way, I think, to hack proof your organization. Everything is hackable. Everyone is hackable. Instead, what you want to focus on is, once again, that defense in depth. How many defenses can you have in place so that when a threat actor gets access to your environment, you detect them sooner and you make their life more difficult and you can remove them from your environment quicker? That's really what you need to focus on if you're a decision maker in one of those organizations. All right, let's continue. We got some pro-Russian no name. Wow, but they actually do have a name. Their name is No Name 057.
Europol disrupts pro-Russian no-name 15716 DDoS hacktivist group.
What an amazing marketing name. They're almost as good as Google's big bug or big sleep or big deep or whatever the heck their name is. No name 057 in parentheses 16. If I was going to make a hacking group, that's definitely what I would call myself.
Group. Europol and 12 countries disrupted the pro-Russian DDoS group, no name 15716, in Operation Eastwood, targeting over 100 servers and arresting 2 suspects. The group appears to have been active since 2022 and used Telegram and volunteer-run tools to attack European infrastructure supporting Ukraine. Authorities warned 1,100 participants and issued 7 arrest warrants as well.
All right, guys, you have to watch out for No Name 057 in parentheses 16. I just love hearing her say it. She didn't say the in parentheses 16, but No Name 057. Amazing name. We have Big Sleep and now we have No Name 057. I'm not sure which one has better marketing. Maybe No Name 057, because I actually remember that one. Makes me think of like 007, but we have No Name here. But we have Operation Eastwood. At least we have some good marketing language there, Operation Eastwood. But it's targeted infrastructure and members of the pro-Russian hacktivist group No Name 0. What's the parentheses 16 mean? Does anyone know? I'm actually just curious now. We're going to Google No Name 05716. Is that just their legit name, parentheses 16? Is there a No Name 057 parentheses 15? If not, that's the group I'm going to start. Anyways, we have a DDoS attack. If you do not know what a DDoS is, there's kind of 2 different DOS or denial of service attacks. A DOS attack or denial of service attack is generally a software bug. You may be able to, for example, if a website allows you to upload an image file, you can upload an extremely large image file, and when the server tries to process it, you break the entire server. Also, if GraphQL is enabled, you can do something called alias overloading, where you just kind of do a bunch of different aliases to call GraphQL, and once again, crash GraphQL. Those are examples of denial of service bugs that are in software. And if you can exploit them, you can take down a website. Now, when you add on another D, so distributed denial of service, that's a little bit different. That's when you have a botnet or a bunch of different machines that try to connect to a website all at the same time. So if you are a victim of a distributed denial of service attack, your website's going to suddenly see an increase in traffic. And if there's enough traffic, well, it's going to make it so it's unavailable for everyone else. Now, you guys might be going to DEF CON. If you've ever been to DEF CON, all of DEF CON is essentially a distributed denial of service when you try to attend a talk. Here's the best example I can give you, because DEF CON is coming up. When you go to DEF CON, you're going to think to yourself, hey, there's a talk happening, let's say 11. You're trying to go to the Red Team Village keynote at 11 a.m. at DEF CON. And so you're thinking, hey, maybe if I get there at 10:30, I can get in line and see the talk. But when you get there, you're going to realize the line is significantly long, and you should have really got there like 4 hours earlier just to attend the talk, and you cannot get into the room because the line is so long. In some ways, that is a really good case of a distributed denial of service attack. So many people are trying to enter into the talk that the talk is filled up and there is a long line, and your traffic is not able to make it to the talk, which in this case would be a website. And I just realized my phone is not on silent. My phone is telling me to make sure I do the daily cyber threat briefing. If I was not here by now, that would be a very late notifier to do that. But that's my DEF CON example of what a distributed denial of service attack is. It's very much like script kiddie behavior because it doesn't take high technical ability to do this. Generally, you just fire it off or pay some group on the deep web and they can fire off a DDoS attack with their botnet. A few things on the botnet side of things. You may be part of a botnet. Legit. One thing that people download that often adds them to a botnet without them realizing it is a free VPN or a free residential VPN, residential IPs. If something is free, chances are you're the product. And you can just Google VPN and botnet on Google right now. You'll find story after story after story of people downloading free VPNs to their phones or to their computers. And yes, it will give you a different IP. You will be able to use the VPN, but that's because you have become the VPN. And it installs a backdoor on your computer or on your device, and you become one of these botnets. And then when a threat actor wants to target a website, they're literally using your computer, your infrastructure as part of the botnet, and they're targeting these different websites. So we have this pro-Russian hacking group. I don't know if it says what country it is in. It did say they arrested a few people. Oh, support from 12 countries. I thought it said they arrested maybe 11 people. Here's the problem. They're in Russia, or they're based out of Russia, and as long as a group isn't targeting Russian assets, it's unlikely that they're going to be prosecuted by Russia. So the authorities sent Telegram messages to 1,100 participants and 17 admins warning them that they were facing criminal liability for their actions. Most of them are probably in Russia, and they're like, yeah, go ahead and arrest me. So they warned over 1,000 people, like, hey, guys, knock it off. And it says 2 arrests have been made and 7 arrest warrants were issued. So out of the 1,100 participants that they were like, hey guys, knock it off, they've arrested 2 people. Is what it is. It says there was more warrants issued, so 6 were issued by Germany. Are for people residing in Russia. Okay, good luck with that. Let me know how that goes for you. With 2 of them suspected of being the primary operators of the group. They have this little Operation Eastwood. We questioned 13 people. We disrupted 100 servers, probably IoT devices. Which, hey guys, real quick self-promotion. A lot of the botnets are actually IoT devices. I did a live stream last night on my channel with Andrew Bellini over from TCM Security. He teaches the IoT hardware hacking stuff over there. And he went into some detail about how IoT devices can be hijacked rather easily and become part of botnets, and gave us a full demo of hacking IoT and getting RCE on a device. So if you want to see that real world, check it out on my YouTube channel. But nothing super interesting about this story. I do believe we are at the mid-roll. Let me go ahead and click play and double check. And the podcast decided to pause, so let me refresh it real quick, but I'm pretty sure we're at the mid-roll.
Huge thanks.
We are at the mid-roll. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I do not have sound effects, so you have to imagine the laws in your head right now. Pretend for a moment. Close your eyes and just pretend that Jerry is here. Pretend that it is the mid-roll. Pretend that he hit the stream deck. Pretend that Jerry is not having audio issues. Pretend that my video froze like his to make it more realistic. But this is the mid-roll. And guys, it is Thursday, which means it's What's Your Meme Thursday. I think I need to do the sponsor first, and then we'll do What's Your Meme Thursday. I think either way, I'll just flip it around. But before we dive into What's Your Meme Thursday, I once again want to say a huge thank you to the sponsors of the daily cyber threat briefing. These are the organizations that make this show possible, and links to each one of them are in the description of this video. So make sure you look below for the description. But a huge thank you to Barricade Cyber Solutions, Threat Locker, Delete Me, Antisyphon Training, Flare, and I believe even more sponsors that were mentioned in the beginning. A huge thank you to every single one of them. And if you haven't already, in the description of this video, make sure you click all the links. Check out every single one of these sponsors. To be very clear with you, these sponsors have each been vetted by Simply Cyber, and we genuinely recommend them to you as resources for learning, resources for defending your organizations, resources for active threat hunting to make sure they find the threats before the threats find you. So make sure you check out each one of our sponsors. And the other fun thing we like to do on Thursday is What's Your Meme Thursday? We have Haircut Fish, and Haircut Fish submits a meme every single Thursday. And here is the meme for today. We got Groomer Jerry. This is a really good look for Jerry. There are no fish lips for the meme. If you guys missed my free workshop on fishing, you missed out on some good memes. But we have Groomer Jerry. You know, we need to do this for Jerry. This hair looks good on him. You know, a big thing about going to DEF CON is a lot of people get mohawks like that. What do you guys think it would cost for us to get Jerry to get a mohawk? Maybe we can use some peer pressure to make this possible, but I think he looks good. It makes him look younger, doesn't it? Like instead of nursing home Jerry, this is like cool DEF CON Jerry. That's what we need to do for him is get the mohawk. Maybe he's giving the dog a mohawk down here. I have no idea, but here is Groomer Jerry. Looks great. Facial hair's on point. The mohawk's on point. I love it. Thank you for the meme, Haircut Fish. Hey, y'all, before we continue the rest of the show, do want to let you know that at the top of the hour, we do have Jawjacking, and I'm doing that as well. So if you have questions about cybersecurity or questions about pen testing or careers, you'll have your opportunity to ask the questions at the end. So go ahead and as we work through these last few stories, get your questions ready. I'll be hanging out with you and doing the Q&A at the end. But hey, Jerry, if you're watching this, we're going to get you a mohawk. It makes you look younger. You look hip. I think if you get a mohawk, we have over 300 people right now watching the daily cyber threat briefing. If Jerry gets a mohawk, I think we could hit 600 easily. That's what he needs. Mohawk will have 600 average viewers to the daily cyber threat briefing. When he does his black hat interviews, those will blow up. I mean, I think hands down, he'd be a millionaire by 2026. Like it's like the alternative form of Bitcoin for him. Haircut Fish said, I'm also hidden in the picture. Oh, sweet. So I'm sure Haircut Fish will drop this over in the Simply Cyber Discord. See if you can find the Haircut Fish hidden somewhere in the picture. I think this is the Haircut Fish. It looks pretty similar to him. So there's the Haircut Fish. But now you guys can see if you're able to find him. But let's continue shredding the top cyber news.
Thanks to our sponsor, ThreatLocker. ThreatLocker is a global leader in zero-trust endpoint security, offering cybersecurity controls to protect businesses from zero-day attacks and ransomware. ThreatLocker operates with a default deny approach to reduce the attack surface and mitigate potential cyber vulnerabilities. To learn more and start your free trial, visit threatlocker.com/CISO. That's threatlocker.com/CISO. Retailer Co-op. Attackers snatched all 6.5 million member records. The UK retailer Co-op confirmed that all 6.5 million member records were stolen in an April cyber attack attributed to Scattered Spider, though ransomware was blocked before deployment. Co-op believes the attackers' movements were fully tracked and that no financial data was affected. 4 suspects tied to attacks on UK retailers were arrested and released on bail. Officials warn the incident underscores the need for stronger cyber defenses across critical infrastructure.
Oh, that's what I just said. I should be one of those experts now. By the way, I do want to point this out. Who said this? It scrolled too far up, but Justin dropped it in mod chat. Legrat said, Jerry's hairstyle is what held the channel back. I'm gonna ignore the winky face and assume that you're absolutely serious. I agree. Let's make Simply Cyber great again by Jerry getting a mohawk. Anyways, looking into this story, there's really nothing super interesting here, although it says they snatched all 6.5 million member records. But then they said they tracked all of it. I actually want to dig into what is the real behind this. So supermarket announces white hat education scheme as 4 suspects released on bail. Miss scroll through here. So they think it's Scattered Spider. We've talked about them many, many, many times. They do a lot of social engineering type attacks. Okay, here's what I was interested in. They confirmed the scale of the attack, adding that the member file is what the attackers copied, but were thwarted before they could deploy ransomware. So they're kind of spinning this story to make it sound positive, like, hey, we were able to stop the attack, but not before the attackers snatched 6.5 million member records. I'm not sure if it says what's in those member records. They said the good thing was because we did block them, they could not erase what they did. All right, well, good for you. So we could monitor every mouse click. This sounds very marketing. We could monitor every mouse click. We saw every piece of code that they had written. We knew everywhere they went in our system, and we were able to relay that back to the authorities. But you know what we didn't know? We didn't know until they snatched our 6.5 million records. I I doubt all of this, but it's cool. I admire the confidence. For a $1 fee, co-op members became a part owner in the retailer, gave them a say in how the business is run, as well as access to exclusive deals and discounts. Asked whether members should be concerned about their data, they said, I don't even know how to say that name. She understood that many would be uneasy about the fact, but much of the data that was copied was most likely out there anyway. What is this response? What? That's not how you respond. That is not how you respond to a data breach. That is hilarious. Oh man, this is my favorite response to a data breach. First, we monitor every mouse click. We saw every piece of code that they had written. and then when people ask, "Hey, oh geez, I need a laugh track for some of these stories." Then when people are like, "Hey, should I be concerned about my data being breached?" Their response is no. It's already out there. It doesn't matter. You've been in other data breaches. Here's some, complimentary identity monitoring. This story makes my day. Um, this appeared to be an allusion to the possibility that data copied and stolen pertained to personal details, such as names and contact details. I'd assume so, but you know what? It's out there anyway. People can just Google you. It doesn't really matter. I need to read through more of these quotes. Honestly, I'm devastated that the information was taken. I'm also devastated by the impact that had on our colleagues as well as they tried to contain all this. Early on, I met with their IT staff and they were in the middle of it. They were fighting the good fight. And, and I'll never forget the looks on their faces trying to fight off these criminals and protect our members' data and try to protect our organization as well. That will never leave me. Guys, this is like the CEO is like showing up on the front lines of a battle. She walks into the IT room. 3 IT members, they've been taken out by the ransomware. They are on the ground. There is blood leaking down from the servers as the attacks happen. But she came in, sees the faces on the members of the IT group. She will never forget their look. Their eyes were scarred from the PTSD of the ransomware being deployed or almost being deployed, and the 6.5 million records being stolen out of the hands of the IT employees. That will never leave them. But if you're worried about whether or not the data matters to you, don't worry. I mean, the data is probably already out there anyways. This is my favorite story of ever hosting the daily cyber threat briefing by far. Now we're talking about how did that come in? I Is there any more quotes from the CEO? Because if there is, I wanna read them. Sorry, we're having some availability issues, which will be resolved shortly. Justin drops a link to the CEO. Um, okay, this someone else. I want more quotes from the CEO. Alright, well, is what it is. If you guys want a good laugh for the day, make sure you read a little more about this story. If nothing else, if there's like an interview with the CEO on YouTube, I want to watch it. I want to hear this from them themselves. Let's go back to the best part of this entire article. Where the best part is right here. Let's just repeat it. Asked whether members should be concerned about their data being in the hands of the attackers and potentially posted online, the CEO said she understood that many would be uneasy about the fact, but you know what? Your data was likely out there anyway, so no big deal. It doesn't matter if we suffered a data breach. Everyone suffers data breaches, and since the attackers already had your social security number, it doesn't matter if they got it again. They already had their hands on it. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, this is an example of how not to respond to a data breach. I see a lot of overconfidence, claiming they know every mouse click. We see like dramatization of the IT team, and that, hey, don't worry. Yes, they stole your data, but your data was already stolen. It doesn't matter. No big deal. There's no story there. Uh, and yes, Roswell UK said, by the way, no credit monitoring or anything given to the true victims. Yeah, they didn't even include the complimentary credit monitoring. Instead, they just said, look, you've already been in other data breaches. I'm sure you already have your year-long complimentary credit monitoring from them, so we don't need to give it to you. Sorry that it was breached, but just know that our IT employees are suffering PTSD of trying to contain this threat. I was in the server room with them. I saw the blood on the walls. It is okay. All right, let's continue. Come on, freaking let me refresh the podcast. Now we'll continue.
SquidLoader malware campaign targets Hong Kong financial sector. Researchers from Trellix say a new malware campaign using SquidLoader is targeting financial institutions in Hong Kong, deploying Cobalt Strike Beacon and evading most detection tools. The attack starts with spear phishing emails containing disguised executables, followed by a multi-stage infection with extensive anti-analysis techniques. Related activity is also thought to be spreading to Singapore and Australia. SonicWall SMA
Okay, actually a pretty interesting attack path here, at least for me, from the perspective of pen testing and red teaming. But you have the SquidLoader. Hey, that's a better name than no name 057 parentheses 16. So we're doing a little bit better on marketing here. SquidLoader. A new wave of malware targeting financial institutions in Hong Kong, blah, blah. So it deploys a Cobalt Strike beacon. Now, Cobalt Strike is a legit C2 used by red teamers and pen testers, but anything used legitimately can also be used illegitimately. But Cobalt Strike is really powerful C2 or command and control server framework, post exploitation toolkit, all of the things. But it deploys a beacon. Now, the way a beacon works, if you have a beacon on your computer, just like the name implies, a beacon's out to essentially the mothership or the C2 server, the command and control server. So if there's a beacon on my computer, it communicates back out essentially to this mothership and says, hey, what commands do you want me to run? Do you want me to pull any information from this computer and send it out to you? And from the attacker controlling the mothership or the C2 server can send commands to any computer that has this beacon on it. These beacons, if designed well, especially in Cobalt Strike, cannot be detected, at least not detected easily, and it can disguise itself in network traffic. You can also do something called a jitter, where the beacon responds at random intervals. So once again, not as easy to track from the perspective of a blue team or trying to see what's going on. So they deploy the beacon and they use that to evade detections. It says in a new advisory published on Monday, security researchers said the malware has been observed evading nearly all detection, making it particularly dangerous for its intended victims. That's actually pretty crazy. That's how you know that this really is an APT, nation state actor, because a lot of the threat actors that you see in the news, they don't know how to do this. I mean, they can't hack their way out of an easy hack the box machine. I mean, half the time I can't hack my way out of an easy hack the box machine, depending on the machine. But a lot of them do not have high technical skills, and they're using things that they found online and just repackaged to deploy the ransomware, or using ransomware as a service groups. Being able to evade nearly all detection shows that this group has some skill. Unfortunately, they know what they are doing. And looking at how they do this, it begins with targeted spear phishing emails. Now, if you are new to how phishing emails work and how they're deployed, I have a course all about this called Hands-on Phishing in Simply Cyber Academy. You can get it right now, lifetime access, $34.99. But I do walk you through how to do full phishing campaigns, everything from purchasing domains to configuring DNS, to configuring TLS, to doing all of those things. But they're doing a spear phishing email. The difference between a spear phishing email and a typical phishing email is spear phishing. They are targeting specific people. These are targeted phishing emails. This isn't just like sending out a phishing email to every employee in an organization saying, hey, your UPS package is ready for pickup. Click here to do a digital signature, and then getting pwned and entering your credentials. Spear phishing means they're targeting a specific person. So if I was doing a spear phishing campaign against Jerry, for example, I would research Jerry's background, try to understand who he is, try to understand his business, and I would send a very targeted email from, let's say, a sponsor to try to get a hold of Jerry's information. That would be a spear phishing attack. And these messages impersonate financial institutions and contain a password-protected RAR archive disguised as an invoice. Now, the reason for this is if you have a RAR archive and it's password protected, there's less of a chance of it being picked up by any scanners in the emails because, once again, it has a password on it. So it's likely in the email it says, hey, I have sensitive information in this archive. Here is a password to unzip it. Make sure you keep this to yourself. You unzip it, and there is a binary camouflage as a Microsoft Word document, and then you get pwned. It embeds itself in the system. It begins a multi-stage injection process with it. You can see all of the information right here. All fun stuff. Actually, I'm studying so I have the OSCP. You've probably heard of that cert by OffSec. I'm working on the OSEP, which is like the advanced version of the OSCP, and they actually talk about some of this very similar things and how you can exploit it. But that's outside of the scope for this show. If you want the technical details, either join me on my YouTube channel or read it for yourself. We have 8 more minutes. Let me see if I can knock out these last 2 stories. Oh, man. Thank you, Legrat. Legrat said, Tyler, to get some intel, you could even visit Jerry in the nursing home. That's a really good point. Once he gets the mohawk, though, he can get out of the nursing home. All right, let's go.
Devices hacked with Overstep Rootkit tied to ransomware. A threat actor tracked as UNC6148 is deploying a stealthy rootkit called Overstep on end-of-life SonicWall SMA 100 devices, exploiting suspected zero-day and known vulnerabilities to gain persistent access and steal credentials. Google's Threat Intelligence Group says the malware modifies the device's boot process, hides itself with advanced anti-forensic features, and installs Cobalt Strike or Abyss ransomware. The campaign includes log wiping, credential theft, and long-term persistence, with ties to data extortion and prior ransomware incidents.
Well, how come Deep Sleep didn't discover this, guys? What's the name of the AI tool? It's not Deep Sleep. It's Big Sleep. I think I have it right. Why didn't Big Sleep discover this before the threat actors did and stop it from being exploited? That's my question. We began the story with Big Sleep, and now we're ending the story with some more Google research, but Big Sleep wasn't part of it. Anyways, standard stuff, guys. If you are running anything that is end of life, you gotta not just patch it because it's end of life, you have to upgrade it. When I'm doing a pen test, whether it's a web app pen test or a network pen test, this is something I look for. So many organizations are using devices, code that is end of life, no longer receiving security updates. And as a result, it's going to have a much wider attack surface. You have to make sure you're keeping your gear up to date. You should not be using end of life gear. You need to have an entire Life cycle management, knowing when things are going to be end of life and having a plan in place to replace these before their end of life. These are used by enterprise clearly because the devices provide access to enterprise resources, VPN access, secure remote access. That's just an interesting way to say VPN. And it says the threat actor already had local admin creds on the targeted appliance. Oh, really? Oh, this is just this threat actor right here. So, I mean, nothing super interesting. You can look at these CVEs. Most of them, we got 2021, 2021, 2024, 2021, and 2025. But the oldest of them is 2021. If you are vulnerable, oh, thank you for the super chat, Prices Pancake. I appreciate it. I'm going to show it up on screen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are awesome. Anyways, if you have a device that is vulnerable to a CVE from 2021 and you like haven't been ransomware, I'm honestly amazed, especially if it's internet facing. You need to patch your stuff. You need to have a patch process in place, looking for these CVEs and making sure they get patched as soon as possible. And on the hardware side of things, you need to have life cycle management in place so that you're tracking when the hardware is going to be end of life. You're replacing it ahead of time. A lot of this, not a lot of this, almost all of it can be fully automated if you just think through the process. So if you don't have that in place, you're just asking yourself to get pwned. What's this reverse shell mystery? And an attack in June, blah, blah, blah. The attacker started a reverse shell. Although shell access cannot be possible by design. Try to determine how this is possible, but cannot come up with an explanation. One answer could be the exploitation of an unknown security issue. With shell access on the appliance, the threat actor ran reconnaissance and file manipulation. Wait, so they got a reverse shell and no one knows how it happened? Wow. That's interesting. We have the rootkit. Leaves no clues. Maybe that's why Big Sleep couldn't detect it. I don't know. Nothing super interesting here, but here's the thing. You got to patch it and you got to replace it if it's the end of the life cycle. Don't let your things be end of life. You will get pwned if you do. All right, we got one more story. The podcast is really suffering today with me having to keep refreshing it. Let's see if we can make it through.
Police dismantle Disk Station ransomware gang targeting NAS devices. Arrest suspected ringleader. An international law enforcement operation led by Europol dismantled the Disk Station ransomware gang, a Romanian group that had been targeting Synology NAS devices since 2021 under multiple aliases. The attackers encrypted corporate data and demanded ransoms up to hundreds of thousands of dollars, often severely disrupting businesses. A 44-year-old man was arrested in Romania following forensic and blockchain investigations linking him to the attacks. We are awash in technologies, ideas, and processes. So much to look at.
All right, that's the end of the CISO series. Nothing super interesting here. Oh, my cat, guys. I don't know if you guys remember my cat from previous Simply Cyber streams, but he always wants to be on my lap when I talk. So everyone say hello to him, because if I don't show him off, he will start trying to break stuff. Can you sit down, you stupid cat? We're trying to do a show. Anyways, you got your standard ransomware stuff. They've been dismantled, it says, but the gang was known as Disk Station, encrypted the systems of several companies, blah, 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 blah. Let's look at their ransomware note. Hello. This is Disk Station security. So I love how the ransomware groups try to portray themselves as like pen testing groups. Like, we're just doing a pen test, and now you have to pay for the pen test so you don't get your files back. What happened? Well, your network was not secure, and your network attached storage is compromised. What does this mean? Where are my files? All your data has been encrypted and hidden on a special volume. All your important documents have been downloaded. What can I do to recover my data? If you want to recover your data, you have to send 0.12 Bitcoin to this wallet address. Always double check the address when copying and pasting it. Please don't send our money to someone else. How much is 0.2 Bitcoin value? Wow. All right, $118,000. That is a very expensive pen test. I have never charged a client that much money for a pen test. But anyways, you have your typical ransomware group. Did the threat actors actually get arrested? Oh, yeah. Within a few months, the investigators identified several suspects, which enabled international law enforcement partners to conduct raids at the specified residences. These raids provided additional evidence. We have a 44-year-old who was arrested. Here's the thing. Cybercrime doesn't pay. It does pay you money in the short term, but you will get caught. You will get arrested, I guess, unless you live in Russia. That might be the one exception. But if you don't live in Russia, you don't want to do ransomware. You don't want to do threat actor activity. Even in Russia, there is a chance of you getting arrested, but it does not pay. In Hack Smarter, which is a community I started, we often have teenagers, part of our community, who want to get into cyber. And I notice a lot of people play around with the threat actor side of things because they think it's cool. It is not cool. And when you play around with that, you could ruin your future. You will get caught. There's ways that you can make a living hacking stuff without breaking the law. That's what I do. I don't have to worry about the FBI showing up at my door, but I still get to hack stuff and have a lot of fun in the process. But hey, make sure you patch all your stuff, update all your stuff, replace your outdated hardware, and remember our CEO's words, even if you suffer a data breach, it doesn't matter because your data was out there anyways from previous data breaches. But guys, this is the end of the daily cyber threat brief. Do want to once again thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me and shredding the top cyber news. We are at the top of the hour, which means we are going to transition over to Jawjacking. Jawjacking is a show where we just do Q&A. If you have questions about a story or pen testing or careers, go ahead and get your questions ready. I will answer those. But this does formally conclude the daily cyber threat briefing. If you have to jump off for the rest of your workday, thank you for being here. For all of you, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. Let me play the Jawjacking intro, and we will jump over to that. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Ever wonder what it takes to break into cybersecurity? Join us every weekday for Jawjacking, where industry experts answer your burning questions about the cybersecurity field. Live, unfiltered, and totally free. Let's level up together. It's time for some Jawjacking.
Well, now that we got the nerd out of the way, which means my cat, I'm kicking him off my lap because he's annoying me. It is time for Jawjacking. Let me turn up my lights just a little bit. And oh my goodness, Haircut Fish just dropped a beautiful meme in mod chat. Let me see if I can grab this link and show it to you guys. It says, thank you, Copilot. So here we go. Here is Google's Big Sleep cybersecurity AI analyst. It even spelled it correctly. So good job, Copilot, on your spelling skills. You're getting a lot better. I don't really know what's coming out of his hands. It's not like his fingers, but his knuckles. He's shooting out like this mysterious blue. It's disappearing into the desk, and then it must be going into the computer, and then he is finding those crazy 0 days. But all right, let me jump over to questions. The group would like to know the cat's name. My cat has many names. When we adopted him as a tiny, tiny, tiny little kitten, his name was Dracula. I did not like the name Dracula, so we named him Bandit. And then when my daughter was young, I think she was 2, she was afraid of goats, but she liked baby goats. And I explained to her how baby goats like jump and hop and they're fun to watch. So she started calling our cat Baby Goat. So for a really long time, my cat was known as Baby Goat, which probably looked very confusing to teachers because she would tell teachers that she has a baby goat, and then they'd find out it's a cat, and they probably think I was teaching my daughter that cats and goats are the same thing. But then I was reading through the Lord of the Rings books, and Gollum or Smeagol from Lord of the Rings, my cat reminded me of him. So now his name is Smeagol. So he goes by Smeagol, Smeegs, Kiki, and Baby Goat. Those are his names he goes by. He probably has an identity crisis all the time. How do you gain access? Here, I'm actually going to move chat over to my main screen. There we go. How do you gain access to an internal network as a red teamer? It all depends on the environment. I would say most of the time, the way that I gain access on a red team is through a physical compromise. So we'll actually send people on site to the organization to disguise themselves as like an electrician, to carry around a ladder or a clipboard, because you don't ever stop those people, and they'll just find an open port, plug in the open port, Often there is no port security on those. And then from that open port, we have a Dropbox in their environment. We'll maybe put a little label on it that says property of IT, do not remove. And then we connect remotely to that Dropbox from our machines. And then we have access to the internal environment. So I'd say most of the time, that is how we get access. We can also send out phishing emails and try to get credentials from that. But 9 times out of 10, we have someone on site who just plugs into a port. There is no port security or filtering in place. And then we have access to the internal network. All right, let me scroll through, make sure I'm not missing anything. Thinking about getting a cat, what's a good cybersecurity related cat name? I suck at making up names. So when I was a kid, I had a cat. He was a baby. Like the mom cat gave birth to him, obviously. That happens to all cats. So I named him Baby Kitty. My current cat, I was just going to call him Black Kitty because he's black. So don't ask me for names. I'm terrible at names. In chat, here's a contest. If you win nothing, but I would still love to hear it. What is the best cybersecurity cat name for Cyber Risk Witch's cat? Let us know. Please use DEF CON to explain how patches are created. Denial of service and DDoS explanation was so easy, I will not forget. Oh man, how patches are created. Okay, I can give you somewhat of an explanation. Let's imagine for a moment we're all at DEF CON. One of the things about DEF CON is you can try to make your own fake DEF CON badge. I'm not even joking, this is a thing. If you can make a badge, a fake DEF CON badge, and it looks legit, you can get into DEF CON for free because the goons do not realize it's a fake badge. So you can wear your fake badge and get into DEF CON, and you just created like a backdoor access to DEF CON. Now, every single year, the goons and the organizers of DEF CON are looking for those fake badges. It was easier to create a fake badge 10 years ago than it is today. Because as fake badges gain access into DEF CON, they begin to recognize, hey, here are some characteristics of a fake badge. Here's some new things that we need to look for to identify real badges. And as they create policies saying, hey, you need to look for this, this, and this to verify that a badge is actually real, that is them patching a vulnerability. The fake badges that worked 10 years ago no longer work today because DEF CON is regularly patching those vulnerabilities and stopping fake badges from gaining access into DEF CON. But just like cybersecurity, it really is a cat and mouse game. So in the real world of cybersecurity, you also have the cat and mouse game that as soon as you detect one form of malware or one CVE, threat actors and hackers are trying to come up with ways to bypass that. They bypass it, you detect it. They bypass it, you detect it. It gives us all job security, but it really is that cat and mouse game. So as you patch things, you still need to stay up to date to patch more things. Same with DEF CON. As they find fake badges, they need to stay up to date to find more fake badges. Otherwise, DEF CON would be free. I'm sure there's a better explanation, but you made me think about it on the spot. So that's my best of making it up. I like this. Sean said, cats do not need names. They do not answer. You are correct. This is a really good name. We have Kitty, and then we have a SQL injection drop table customers. I do recommend that name. Luke said, dumpster cat, cat beast, burrito cat, Valtus, murder beast, etc. Names are great. I love it. All right, let me scroll through. I want to make sure I'm not missing questions. Like, I don't want to just answer cat names and miss questions. So Knox Lumens has a really good question here. I think he's referring to the red team side of things. Once you're in the network, how are you staying undetected while working through the network? It's a great question. One is using tools that would not normally be detected, things that are just like standard behavior. So one of the things I've noticed on most internal networks is that if you spend enough time looking at SMB or network shares, you may be able to find credentials that allow you to get domain admin or really pivot deeper into the environment. So then I'm just using like SMB client manual tool built into Linux to manually look at different shares that might be interesting that allow me to have unauthenticated access to the network. Because by doing that, I'm not doing anything malicious, and unless they have really good logging and stuff set up, they're not going to detect me. So that's what I normally do. Once I get on the network, if I don't want to be detected, I'm just manually looking through SMB shares, and you would be surprised how far that can take you by finding hard-coded creds and other pieces of information just in the SMB shares. Oh, that's a really great name for a cat, Netcat. I think you win so far. Why is the job market so tough right now? Seems like entry-level roles keep getting more rare. Been looking for my first IT role for over a year now and still haven't found one yet. That sucks. And you are correct that the job market is really tough right now. Uh, I'd have to do real research to give you a solid answer, but because this is like the off-the-cuff answer, my answer to why the job market is so tough right now is a few different reasons. Number one, we've had massive layoffs at different tech companies and big tech companies. So you have people from Microsoft, Amazon, highly skilled engineers who are also looking for jobs, and you're competing with them. And so they're looking for jobs, and many of them are desperate. So they'll take an entry level role. So you're competing with really top talent. That part makes the job market really tough right now. The other part that makes the job market tough right now is I don't know what kind of roles you're applying for, but a lot of people want roles that are fully remote, which I do too. I'm fully remote for my own job. I'm starting my own firm in October and my own like company in October. So then, I can hire myself and be as remote as I want. But when you're applying for like a job that's fully remote, you also have to realize you're competing with everybody else in the US if you're in the US, or potentially everybody else globally. So if you don't have a really good way to make yourself stand out, you're not going to get a fully remote job just because the competition is fierce. Number three, your resume might suck. So Zach, I don't say this to be a jerk to you, but if you're not even getting to an interview, it's likely your resume is the problem. Now, I don't know if Simply Cyber has a spot to do resume reviews. I know Hack Smarter does. If you want to come hang out in Hack Smarter, let me drop a link to Hack Smarter. Hack Smarter is an organization that I founded. We have a Discord and we have resume reviews in the Discord. But if you haven't already, get someone to review your resume and take their feedback. Because if you're not even getting to an interview, that might be the thing that you are dealing with. So make sure your resume is good. That will at least get you to the interview. But outside of that, Jerry often says, be the CEO of you, which I highly recommend. If you're not involved with having a personal brand, having your own YouTube channel, your own blog, your own platform, unfortunately, you have to do that in today's job market. You need some way to make yourself stand out. So for me personally, I do that via YouTube and teaching and instruction, all of this stuff. If I needed to find a different job, I'm fairly confident that I could find a fully remote pen testing or security engineer job in probably a month or 2 months, just because I've spent a lot of work networking and building my own platform. All right, let me scroll through. I love all the names. Script Kitty is good. Patches is a good name as well. You got to patch it. That's a good name. Tyler, are you in the basement or in the new office? I am in my basement. My new office is not set up for streaming yet. I still need to get everything moved over there and test it out. I could potentially stream from my new office, but I didn't want to have my first stream be the daily cyber threat brief and then have everything break. So I am in my basement right now. When I test stream from the office, it'll be on my own YouTube channel some random night, so that if it breaks, it's not a big deal. I can just adjust. But yes, in the basement now, hence the brick wall. All right, let me. I love like all of chat is suggestions for a cat name. I freaking love it. Justin Gold makes a good point here. The job market is tough. It's not an IT or cyber issue. You're right. All around, it's tough right now. And Luke says the same thing. Finding any role is tough right now. Exactly. Like I know my organization opened up a role to hire a pen tester, and I think within a day or 2 days there was like 600 to 700 applicants. I mean, that's insane. How do you stand out against 700 other people? It's really coming down to it's not what you know, but who you know. And I think with AI, that's becoming even more important. I can tell you, like for my organization, when they were hiring, Most of the applicants are just AI slop. Like, people are using AI to auto generate these applications and send them out. The only way to stand out above that, in my opinion, is actually knowing people. You need to have connections with real people, genuine relationships. That's how you get ahead in today's market. All right, scrolling through. Thoughts on hiring external applicants with direct experience versus developing internal applicants who don't have experience but are passionate and want to get into cyber. It all depends on the organization and it depends on the role. So if it's just like a typical cybersecurity analyst role, then I think it's totally fine to develop internal applicants and give them some on the job training if you have some seniors on the team. Like, you need to have people on the team who are able to train them for that to work. Other roles, for example, like pen testing, I'm a pen tester. You can't just like develop an internal applicant for pen testing if they don't have some experience. A lot of people are like, hey, you know what I want to be? I want to be a pen tester. I want to be an ethical hacker. Here's the thing. Everybody wants to be a pen tester and an ethical hacker, and pen testing itself is not an entry level field. Like, just to get an entry level pen testing job, you generally need to have a solid understanding of networking and sysadmin and help desk and Active Directory, all of those things. So when it comes to a role like pen testing, especially consultancy, which is what I do, you can't really just hire internal and be like, hey, you're passionate about pen testing, here you go. But I think for other cybersecurity jobs that might work, but it really does depend on the organization. It depends if the team itself has the capacity to train you, and it depends on the job role. So overall, I think it's a good idea, but it really does depend on the role. Yeah, so Kathy emphasizing that you can have the perfect resume and still not get to the interview. The main thing is networking. You need to know people. Spot on. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Attend B-size, attend local meetups, be active on Discord, all of that fun stuff. All right, scrolling through. Yep, other people just emphasizing it's who knows you in order to land a job. Unfortunately, it is true. Richard has some good advice. Cyber has only gotten increasingly network driven in the last 5 to 10 years. Meet people, talk to them, collaborate. And I recognize for some people that really sucks. And I wish I could change that for you, but you really do need to be out there, be active, be meeting people. Go to, if you're not going to DEF CON, go to DEF CON. DEF CON's expensive, so maybe not DEF CON, but go to Wild West Hacking Fest, go to Simply CyberCon and develop genuine friendships and relationships with people. In my view, that's like the only way to stand out now in the job market is people have to know who you are and know that you're trustworthy so that when you're looking, you're able to land those jobs. And the other thing is don't apply for just remote jobs, even if that's your end goal. Like I said before, when you're applying for fully remote jobs, you're competing with literally everybody, which is going to make it a lot more difficult for you to stand out. Zach said, I've started my own blog on Medium. First, I just want to say congratulations, Zach, on taking that first step. A big part, guys, of building your own platform is literally just thinking of ways like, how can I give back to the community? And that's how I got into YouTube. So I started my YouTube channel, I think 4 years ago now. I was working in IT support. My first video was how I went to WGU and got my bachelor's degree. But I had no like end goal of my YouTube channel. I didn't think my YouTube channel would ever get me on the daily cyber threat briefing. I mean, shoot, it's because of my YouTube channel, guys, that I am keynoting the Red Team Village with Naham Second Zero Day. That would not have happened if I did not take a risk and start a YouTube channel, set up a camera, and just start talking to people. If you're not doing that, you need to get started. Blogs are amazing as well. So Zach said I started my own blog on Medium. I would say there's two things that are really difficult about starting your own platform. Number one is just getting started. If it's a video, the most difficult thing of hitting record and talking. The mind game there, the imposter syndrome that you are going to struggle with is insane. The second most difficult thing is being consistent with it. So, Zach, that would be my encouragement to you. It's awesome that you started a blog, but you need to have a plan in place that you're going to be consistent with that blog. I would recommend making posts or videos at least once a week, if not more than that. I mean, shoot, you look at my YouTube channel, I've released, I think, like 27 videos in the past month. And that's in addition to working my full time job and having a wife and kids. It's a grind. It really is. And you need to have a schedule and you need to be consistent. You need to have personal discipline. You need to stick to it. But far too many people get passionate thinking, hey, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And it's like, yes, start one. And they post 4 videos in 1 month because they're really passionate about it in 1 month. Very, 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 very few people are still making videos after 6 months because I see people like me and Jerry on YouTube and they think, hey, that looks easy. That looks fun. I can turn on my camera and I can talk, and you can. But what you do not see is the consistency and the discipline that goes into a show like Simply Cyber or my own YouTube channel, where we are grinding even when we don't feel like it. And we're releasing videos even when we don't feel like it. That consistency is what's going to pay off for you in the long term. So, Zach, for you and anybody else who wants to start a blog or a YouTube channel, do it, but also have a plan in place that you're going to release content on a regular interval and that you have the self discipline to be consistent. If you do not have the self discipline to be consistent, figure it out. I don't know how to tell people to get self discipline. People ask me that, Tyler, how are you disciplined enough to always be making videos and creating content? A big part of it is just my personality, and it works for me. If it's not in your personality, I don't know what to tell you besides the Offset's mantra, try harder. That'd be my answer to you. All right, let me go ahead and hide that. Let's see what other questions we might have. Justin says, yes, trust is a huge factor exactly when people are hiring you. So Wiredog said, I did intern interviews this year and noticed that GitHub has become the standard. Yeah. If you don't have a GitHub, you need one. I have one. I'll drop a link to my GitHub. You can find random scripts that I make while I'm streaming, and you can see my GitHub there. But if you do not have a GitHub that you're updating, you should. And when you're working through a CTF on Try Hack Me or Hack the Box, at the end, you should always ask yourself the question, what is something I encountered in this machine that I could automate or script with Python, and then do it. Even if you're using ChatGPT, that's fine, but script it out, automate it, and make sure you upload it to GitHub. GitHub is a place where you can share your scripts and share your tooling to show it off to prospective employers. WireDogSec said AI can assist you with generating ideas for blogs or your YouTube channel. It can. Oh gosh, guys, I'm tired. I think I shared this before, but I was streaming last night and then went to bed, got a few hours of sleep, and I'm streaming again. AI absolutely can assist. I would say just be careful with your use of AI. Don't make those stupid AI YouTube channels where the entire video is AI slop and AI generated. A big reason that people follow different YouTubers is because of their personality. So use AI if you want to generate ideas of videos that you want to make, but make sure you are authentically you. If you are not genuine, at least on YouTube, I guess blogs can be a little bit different because they're not seeing you talk, but you need to be authentic and genuine. If you're not authentic and genuine, people can spot that very easily if you're putting on a mask or acting as somebody else. If you guys meet me at DEF CON, how I'm talking right now, this is exactly who I am in real life. Same way I talk. I'm not putting on some crazy AI voice. And this is my real personality. So make sure, at least on YouTube, you're authentically you. Do not allow AI to overshadow you, overshadow your own personality and writing style and all that fun stuff. How to stay motivated with blogging when it feels like AI is just scraping your content. I don't blog. And the reason for that is I suck as well with staying motivated with blogging. I like creating video content a lot more because with video content, I feel like you can make your personality known a lot more. So for example, if you want to get into pen testing, a big part of pen testing is be able to communicate with clients, doing debriefs. One of the best ways to prepare for that communication is streaming. on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, you pick your platform. But streaming is one of the best ways to get better at communicating. And also prospective employers are able to kind of see your personality shine through. So I don't blog. That would be a better question for someone who blogs. But for me, on the YouTube side of things, I genuinely enjoy doing what I'm doing right now. I genuinely enjoy helping people, mentoring people, making videos that really help change someone's life and teach them a new skill. So I genuinely enjoy that. That's where my motivation comes from. Being so energetic is the hardest part. It is. Yes, you get better at it the more you do it. I mean, I'm genuinely an energetic person in real life, even now when I don't have much sleep. Like, this is how I'll be at DEF CON. I will admit, I have to fake it at the beginning of the daily cyber threat briefing. Like, this is way too early in the morning, and I have zero energy when I first start the show, but I fake it till I make it, and I slowly get more energy. But it definitely can be tough. Yeah, discipline is doing something you hate like you love it even when you don't. Exactly. And try harder is the answer when it comes to discipline. You're right. So Justin said, is slop the buzzword 2025? I think so. The AI slop. That is the buzzword. AI is an amazing tool. But when you're also like LinkedIn posts, guys, I could do an entire rant. Don't use AI for your LinkedIn posts. Please. It's very obvious when your post is generated with AI, and I stop reading. The more authentic you can be to yourself, the better. In a world of AI content, be you. Be Justin Gold. All right, let me scroll through. Marcus said YouTube is now demonetizing AI generated channels. Good. Those channels suck. They should be demonetized. I mean, the whole goal of YouTube is for people to make user generated content. None of this AI crap. Like, I there's the whole idea of is it the old internet theory? Google the old internet theory, but the old internet unfortunately is dead and it's been taken over by slick marketing and AI, unfortunately. Justin has a really good point here. If you make a solid POC or walkthrough of an exploit, people will use it. Getting AI script is just life at this point. Other people will still take notice if you're putting out good work. That's spot on. I agree 100%. Right? Plagiarism is the highest form of flattery or something like that. I don't remember what the quote is. Is it possible to get a job as a cybersecurity engineer without certifications? I mean, everything's possible. I would say unlikely. Possible, but unlikely. If you have a degree, like a bachelor's degree, that will look really good for a cybersecurity engineer job. A lot of those jobs are in larger companies, and you need to get through the HR screening filter. And often, one of the biggest things for HR isn't a cert, but rather a bachelor's degree. So, if you want to work on the blue team side of the house, I strongly recommend getting a bachelor's. You can get one through WGU and accelerate the program. That's where I went for my bachelor's. But as far as certs go, it is possible, but once again, unlikely. I mean, we've been talking in this stream about how hard the job market is. You really need to do what you can to stand out. If possible, you need to get a bachelor's degree. And if possible, you need to get multiple industry certs. And if possible, you need to have a platform to showcase who you are. And if possible, you need to be doing networking and building genuine relationships with the people. I know that's a lot of stuff, but that's simply reality right now. It is what it is. If I could change it, I would, but I can't change it. How do you quiet down the imposter syndrome voices? First, I stopped reading comments on my YouTube videos. I'm just playing. Um, all of us struggle with imposter syndrome. One part of it is like, or at least one area I've noticed is huge, is whenever I start a new job, I feel lost. And I'm like, man, these people are going to realize they hired a fraud and I have no idea what I'm doing. So if your imposter syndrome comes from starting a new job, always remember that they hired you for a reason. They know that you have it in you to be successful in this job. If you didn't, you never would have been hired and beat all the other candidates in starting that job. But number two, when it comes to imposter syndrome, I think a lot of it comes from comparing ourselves to other people. So, like, don't compare yourself to me. Don't compare yourself to Jerry. Don't compare yourself to John Hammond. Don't compare yourself to Tiberius. Don't compare yourself to Network Chuck. You're on your own journey. You are competing not with me, you are competing with yourself. And you need to look back on who you were 6 months ago and a year ago and ask yourself honestly, hey, have I grown in my knowledge of cyber? Have I grown in my knowledge of GRC? Have I grown in my technical skills? And if the answer is yes, you're doing an amazing job. But number three, when it comes to quieting down imposter syndrome, I think a lot of that comes down to mental health as well. Mental and emotional health and even spiritual health is not something we talk about enough when it comes to the field of cybersecurity. But being healthy emotionally and being healthy mentally, that's going to do as much, if not more, for your career than getting the latest certification. And having healthy mental, emotional, and spiritual health is going to be huge when you're telling imposter syndrome, shut your mouth, because you begin to find your identity not in your career, not in your job, but rather in who you're becoming. I've said this a few times. It's very cliche, but there's a lot of weight to it. But we are human beings, we're not human doings. If you find your identity in what you are doing and measure yourself based on your performance of what you're doing, you will always fail. You need to measure yourself on the person you are becoming. And as you work on that and work on mental health, do professional therapy. I also do professional therapy for myself. One of the best things I've done for my career. Do professional therapy and work on becoming an emotionally healthy person. Your future employer will thank you. Your partner will thank you. Your kids, if you have them, will thank you. Imposter syndrome will begin quieting down because you're becoming a healthier person. So that would be my recommendation. But guys, I do see that there's more questions, but it is the end of Jawjacking. I would love to hang around with you guys longer, but I do have a day job of pen testing, and I need to jump into a pen test engagement. I do live stream all the time on my YouTube channel, so if you don't follow me on YouTube, link is in the lower thirds. Just look for Tyler Ramsby. You'll be able to find me, guys. If you're going to be at DEF CON, I'll also be at DEF CON. I'm hosting the meetup with Jerry on Friday night. If you haven't got tickets for that, make sure you get the tickets. You can find them in the Simply Cyber Discord or on LinkedIn. I'm also doing the keynote for the Red Team Village on Friday, and I'll just be hanging out at DEF CON. So if you want to hang out, grab drinks, grab food, I'll be there. I would love to meet you. But thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out. Let me go ahead and find the outro video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.